Right now, on this planet, there is exactly one species of human being. Homo sapiens. Just us. But that's not normal. For most of the last 300,000 years, you could have walked through Africa and met a species with a bigger brain than yours. You could have crossed into Europe and found a stocky, powerful being who painted in caves and buried their dead. You could have wandered into Asia and encountered a species so mysterious we only know them from a finger bone found in a cave. We weren't alone. And then, one by one, they all vanished. There have been at least 9 recognized species in the genus Homo. Some lived for 2 million years. Some lasted barely 50,000. And for a remarkable stretch of time, around 300,000 years ago, at least 4 of them were alive at the same time, on the same planet, occasionally in the same landscape. The most famous are the Neanderthals. They dominated Europe and Western Asia for roughly 400,000 years, 10 times longer than modern humans have existed. They had larger brains than us, buried their dead with flowers, made tools, and likely controlled fire. Then, around 40,000 years ago, they disappeared. The leading explanation is a combination of climate catastrophe and competition. A series of rapid cold events, Heinrich event 4, destabilized their food sources at exactly the moment Homo sapiens arrived in Europe with superior weapons and social networks. But the story is more complicated than simple replacement. Modern non-African humans carry 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. We didn't just replace them. We absorbed them. Then there are the Denisovans, a species we discovered entirely through DNA. In 2010, Pääbo's team at the Max Planck Institute extracted genetic material from a finger bone found in Denisova cave in Siberia. The DNA didn't match any known species. It was something new. Denisovan DNA now lives in up to 6% of Melanesian and Australian Aboriginal populations. They gave Tibetans the gene that allows them to breathe at high altitude. We know almost nothing about what they looked like, except that a jawbone found in the Tibetan plateau, confirmed as Denisovan in 2019, suggests they had massive jaws and teeth. In Southeast Asia, something even stranger persisted until 50,000 years ago. Homo floresiensis, the hobbit, stood just over a meter tall, had a brain 1/3 the size of ours, and survived on an island in Indonesia long after every other archaic human had vanished. No DNA has been recovered. No evidence of interbreeding. They simply existed, in their own small world, until they didn't. And in South Africa, deep in the Rising Star Cave system, researchers led by Berger found Homo naledi, a species with a tiny brain and human-sized hands, dating to just 335,000 years ago. In 2025, peer-reviewed evidence suggested they may have buried their dead and carved symbols on cave walls. If confirmed, this would mean a small-brained species was capable of symbolic thought, challenging everything we assumed about what makes us human. So why did every other human species die while we survived? The honest answer is, we don't fully know. But the evidence points to a few advantages that compounded over time. First, language. Not just communication, every social animal communicates, but recursive, symbolic language. The ability to describe things that aren't there. To plan for next season's harvest. To warn about a predator that hasn't arrived yet. This gave Homo sapiens something no other species had, the ability to share knowledge across generations without direct experience. Second, social networks. While Neanderthals lived in small, isolated groups of 20 to 30, sapiens formed alliances spanning hundreds of kilometers. When a Neanderthal band lost their territory, they had nowhere to go. When sapiens faced pressure, they could call on distant allies. This network effect made us resilient in ways our competitors weren't. Third, and most recently understood, is genetic dilution. As sapiens interbred with Neanderthals and Denisovans, the smaller populations were gradually absorbed. Their genes didn't disappear, they merged into ours. But as distinct species, they ceased to exist. The extinction wasn't always violent. Sometimes it was intimate. The latest research from 2025 suggests the Denisovan story may be even more complex. A jawbone from Tam Guhao cave in Laos, confirmed as Denisovan, shows these species were spread across a vast range, from Siberia to Southeast Asia, and may have persisted far longer than previously thought. The timeline of their disappearance is still being rewritten. Here's what's left. You carry Neanderthal DNA in your immune system. Tibetans carry a Denisovan gene that lets them survive at 4,000 meters. The echoes of extinct species live inside us, not as ghosts, but as functioning parts of our biology. We tend to think of evolution as a ladder, with Homo sapiens at the top and every other species as a failed attempt. But that's not what the evidence shows. For most of human history, the planet was shared. Multiple species of human walked the same Earth, sometimes in the same valleys, sometimes interbreeding, sometimes competing. We weren't the inevitable winners. We were just the ones who happened to survive. Berger, the paleontologist who discovered Homo naledi, put it simply, we are not special because we are alone. We are special because we are what's left. The real question isn't what happened to the other human species. It's what it means that we carry their fragments inside us, and whether, in 300,000 years, something else will be studying our remains and wondering the same thing.